So you may be getting a little anxious about your first triathlon of the season. Whether it's your first triathlon of the season or your first triathlon ever, the open water swim portion can be the most intimidating for athletes, inexperienced as well as experienced. So today I wanted to talk and give you a few tips about how to execute your race. So let's jump into race morning. You've arrived a couple hours early, you've set up your transition, your bike, all your gear, you're putting your wetsuit on, and you still have an hour and a half to wait. What are you gonna do? Number one, take the time to warm up. I recommend warming up in the water. I have a video that I talked about how to acclimate to cold water. I recommend that even if the water's warm, if it's your first race of the season, it's good to use those 5 tips that I share about how to acclimate to water, especially if you haven't had a chance to get in open water. If the race venue doesn't allow you to warm up in the water, I've also have some suggestions for some dry land that you can do before you swim. But you definitely want to include a warm-up, and the timing of your warm-up's important. I did mention, you have an hour and a half. If you arrive really early, what are you going to do? But you don't want to warm up an hour and a half before your start. Maybe about a half hour. If it's super cold water or super cold air, you want to warm up even closer to the start of your race, because you don't want to warm up and then stand around and get cold again, because that actually might do more harm than good. But definitely, just like you warm up in training, you want to warm up before the start of your race. Number 2, make sure you start very slow, easy, controlled. Keep your effort based on a rate of perceived effort of maybe a 3 of 5. It's almost like the start of the race is an extension of your warm-up, if you do warm up, or it's going to be your warm-up. And think about building your pace within the distance of the swim. If you're an experienced athlete, hopefully you've done some open water swim workouts where you varied your paces and maybe you tried drafting. But if you're a beginner, I wouldn't even think about drafting, because it's your first one. You don't know what your pace is. You probably don't even understand exactly how to get the benefit of drafting in the swim. So I would approach the open water swim as an experience that you're going to learn from, and based on the swim experience, that's kind of going to possibly dictate how you do the rest of the event. So number 3, really, I should have said this as number 1, don't go into the swim with any expectations if it's your first event or your first event after some time off. Enjoy it, appreciate being back in the water, learn whether you paced yourself correctly, learn whether you did any sighting correctly, which leads me to number 5. Again, I should have said this first. Sighting is the most important thing that you're going to get out of especially your first open water swim experience. There's nothing worse than not knowing how to sight, and you get in a vast big body of water, and that's going to cause a little bit of anxiety. But if you're not sighting and you end up being turned around and you look up and you don't see anyone and you don't see any water, you're going to create more anxiety. So if you get anything out of this video, the best tip and advice I can give someone who's less experienced in open water is to make sure you practice sighting. You can practice sighting in the water. I've done a video about it. It's called Alligator Eyes. Be sure to check it out. It's so critical that you not only sight, but that you sight frequently. Again, you heard me say it numerous times, sight frequently. It's so important. When I do open water swim clinics and I'm talking about sighting, and I tell everyone to sight frequently, and then I set them out to go and I watch them, they're taking 20, 30 strokes and they're going all over, zigzagging, because they're not sighting frequently. So the best thing you can do, if you don't remember anything, is to sight frequently. So I hope you have a very nice experience. Even if you don't have the experience that you're anticipating, and you do have some issues and something goes wrong, like you hyperventilate or someone touches you or swims over you and you panic, I'd love to hear about it. Join our T2 Endurance Facebook group and share in the chatter. I love hearing athletes' race reports, because then it helps me share my experience with them and helps them overcome any fears and anxieties they have about what lies beyond.